Hi, my name's David and I want to show you what I want to do with this image in Capture One. The image currently has no adjustments applied with the exception of a crop, which looks like this, but otherwise everything is set to 0, but I want to get to something a bit closer to this. So to start, and by looking at the image, I can see the exposure is pretty close to what I need, but I might just drop the exposure down a small amount just to bring out a bit more detail in the mountain range in the background. Next, I'll bring in the shadow point of my levels just a little to up the contrast slightly as well, and to reduce the flatness of the image. And then grab the midtone slider and just experiment slightly with adjusting the midtones by moving the slider to the left and the right. So I'm happy with that with some base adjustments, but I'd like to equalize the exposure of the sky closer to the reflection that we see in the water. So in our local adjustments panel, I'll use a gradient mask. I can press G on the keyboard or select it here. Move over to the image and draw from the top to the bottom. Where I finish drawing, the mask will be at 0, and holding my shift key to keep the line nice and straight. Press M on the keyboard to see the mask, and now I can take my exposure down a small amount, something like that, and then add some more clarity just to bring out the clouds more against the sky. Turning this layer off, then we can see the exact effect that it's having. I'll just name this layer 2 so that I know what this layer's purpose is and can refer back to it later. So next I can see on the right hand side we have some rain clouds, and it would be nice to just emphasize those a little bit more. So I'll make another layer by hitting plus. I'll call this clouds. Take my draw mask brush once again, or press B on my keyboard. Move over to the image and right click to increase the brush size and make the brush nice and soft with full opacity and flow, and just do a rough mask. Press M on my keyboard to see the mask, and just do a rough mask over this clouded area like so. M to hide the mask, and then bring up the clarity just to bring out those clouds and rain a bit more. Again, if we turn this layer off, I can see exactly what's happening. One final thing, I'll make a new layer. I'll just call this mountains. Do a rough mask and right click here just to reduce the size. Press M so I can see the mask. Just doing a rough mask along this mountain range here. And we do a similar thing. I'll just use a shortcut here to fill my mask in. And add again a bit more clarity, just to improve that slightly. If I need to brush that same mask in other areas, you can see it's just on this part of the mountain range now, but I could just add it to any other area I like so, because I just want to bring out the details in the mountain a bit more. Final thing, just up the structure slightly on that layer. That will just help sharpen the details in that mountain range slightly. Last step, take my vignetting tool down a little just to add a very small vignette to the image. And I think the overall effect now, my exposure adjustment that I did earlier on is maybe too much, so I just bring that up a small amount to complete the image. So just really a few simple steps in Capture One, and this is our final result, and this is where we started, and then back to the final again.